What's up, grinders? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be watching the Italian man as he tries to learn my sacred accent, the Australian accent, which realistically, if we're looking at like the world stage of things, Australian English is considered one of the more prestigious dialects of like English out there. I said of almost Australian English because like I just consider all English is to basically be variants or bad versions of Australian English. But anyway, we're going to watch Metatron. We're going to see how well he goes. Let me just move this mic into position a little bit right now. And in fact, since this is like an Australian video, I should probably like better equip myself for the mood. So I'm going to grab my Australian hat that I got right here. You guys might think that this is just some bullshit, like this is not a real hat, like I'm just like wearing this stuff to make myself look Aussie. Nah, man, this is a legit Australian military hat because I was actually in the military donkeys years ago when I still had muscle mass and more hair. And we actually wore this hat. In fact, I've still got my insignia for it right here. It's rusted to all hell, but like it's good for like stabbing someone. Anyway, so let's go watch this together.
Hello, number ones, and welcome to Metatron's Academy. I'm here today because
I'm just thinking, he says, hello, noble ones, and I say, hello, grinders. So what are those people who watch both him and me called? Are they like the grinding noble ones or the nobly grinders?
I want to see if I can learn to pick up a little bit of an Australian accent. So without further ado, let's choose a video. We got a few. How to do an Australian accent 10 years ago. Holy moly, this guy's like a father with 3 children now.
It's probably true.
How to speak in an Australian accent 13 years ago. Australian accent tips 8 years ago.
Now, considering the population of Australia is not that big, you know, like, I could probably name half the people in Australia. I don't recognize any of these people. And I was actually an actor at one stage, so I'm wondering if I'm going to recognize
no one is doing this anymore. 15 years ago. Next one is going to be 150 years ago. Oh, well.
Well, they're probably all outdated because I think probably about 10 years ago, that's when the Flat Earth movement declared Australia as no longer being part of the globe, of the plane. And therefore, we had to stop producing accents because, like, we'd been caught out.
Well, anyways, let's try the first one.
I'm just going to segue like all fuck right now. Okay, so it is so funny when you're like debating with an Australian flat earther and I'm like, what about the fact that we don't exist? And they're like, I don't believe in that part.
Let's go.
Hello, I'm Gareth Jameson. I'm an actor and a voice coach from www.londonvoicelessons.com.
I was just about to say, he does not sound Australian at all.
Here are some tips for working on your voice.
So we're gonna hear a professional first who is not Australian and puts it on, can't even speak, and then we'll look for an Australian and see if we can spot the difference.
What the fuck was that? Spot the difference? Is that a British attempt? I'm gonna take this off. This thing's cutting into my head. I'm gonna put on my old cap again because, yeah, that was just hurting. I think my head got fat.
The key to any accent is to isolate the specific sounds that occur in that accent. So when we look at the Australian accent, we'll be looking at which vowel sounds and which consonants are used in Australia. So let's start with the I sound.
I think it's important to underline, however, I say this as a language guy, that when he says he's trying to isolate what sounds and whatever they use in Australia, do keep in mind that there is more than one Australian accent within the entirety of Australia. Not to mention that there's also a difference in even people from the same town might have different accents. There is a matter of class, social class perhaps, in the level of education. I'm not sure. Anyways, we are probably looking into the most stereotypical Australian accent. But
it's actually really interesting is if you hear my brother talking and me, you would not even think we were from the same region, not even like the same like world realistically in Australia. And you never will because he doesn't like appearing on videos. But anyway, when he speaks English, he speaks it with like a really country bumpkin, you know, Bogan style accent. And Bogan, I guess, is like redneck for those who don't know. It's like very country-like, while I will speak probably more standardized. And there's a number of reasons behind that, okay? So the first one is we moved regularly when I was growing up, like every 2 years. And we lived in the northern part of Australia in Queensland, and then we moved down to like Tasmania. Yeah, I know, we went from one extreme to the other. So basically, we kind of grew up in different environments. And then additionally, I became an actor after I left the military, and then I had to standardize my accent even more, and I can't even like go back now. I've adopted whatever the fuck this is, man.
But yeah, just to say
that I would normally pronounce as like and right and live.
Like, right and live. Yeah, probably I say it like that.
For Australians, this becomes a little bit like oi in oil. Don't go that far though, so don't say like and right. It'll sound ridiculous. It's more like and right.
Like, right. Maybe.
Like and right. It's I think it's a common aspect with Cockney, isn't it? Sort of. Not exactly the same, but I can't understand exactly what the difference is.
Yeah, to me, as an Australian, when you like mention Cockney and stuff, I pretty much just assume everyone there speaks Cockney.
And live, right.
Right.
Sign.
Live, right, sign. Hey, I think he's got me pegged.
Live. Listen again to that word right. That's R-I-G-H-T, right. Right. You notice that the T has disappeared from the end of the word.
Right. Yeah, we kind of tap it on there. It's like, it's really soft. It's like, right. Like that T, yeah, it's almost gone.
Yeah. Yeah, well, this happens a lot in English accents too, depending.
It's called a glottal stop, and it's very common in Australia. The way you want to make your glottal stop, if you don't know how to do it, is to start with the phrase, uh-oh.
Yep, uh-oh, like in the cartoons.
Uh-oh. And it's the little sound you get in the middle there. Uh-oh. So try putting that on the end of your word. Right. Right.
Right.
This is really weird, man. It's like he's trying to teach me how to speak my own language, and I'm like, am I doing it right?
If this sounds a little bit like Cockney to you,
there you go.
There's a reason for this. The Australian accent developed from people from the southeast of England who went to live in Australia, and their accent changed, so it is very similar. The sound Cockney, oi, in...
Here's actually an interesting like tad bit of information about where I grew up under the age of 8. Pretty much everyone in this town was of German heritage. Okay, so like, I don't know why it worked out that way, but I guess, you know, immigrant groups, as they move to another country, they kind of like hang out together. Anyway, most of the people were of German heritage, which meant as I grew up, I didn't ever hear German because this is like several generations going back type of thing. But I feel like it still had an impact on the English because then when we moved out of this town, which was more in the outback regions of like Queensland, we moved to the coastline. Basically what happened to me was the teachers actually told my parents, you know, he can't actually pronounce his TH sounds and he struggles with the words like with, not just with the at the end, but also with the W, and it would be like with, you know, I'd be pronouncing it weird. And I actually had to go through like speech pronunciation and all that type of stuff. Yet English was my native language.
All right, mate. It's the same as the Australian. All right, mate. But
we never say all right, mate. That's just... If you said to me, all right, mate, I'd think you're mocking me. I'd have a go at you. I'd be like, what do you want? You saying something? You having a go at me, man? Yeah, like, it just sounds weird. Like, in fact, it is insulting in Australian English if you say, all right, mate. It's almost like saying, yeah, I don't believe you for a second. I'd be like, why? Why don't you believe me?
There is a difference here.
Right.
And if you've got a Cockney accent and you want to turn it into an Australian one, your best bet is to change your voice from a dry sound to a twangy sound. So we go from, all right, mate,
All right.
to, all right, mate, real twang.
I swear to God, okay, now I'm like wigging out. Maybe this is like an Australian English thing only, but depending on how you say that, all right, mate, it could mean so many different things. Like the ways he said it then, I just got totally different like vibes off of it. So like first time he's like, all right, mate. It's like, okay, yeah, I get you. I agree with you type of thing. Then he's like, all right, mate. And I'm like, why? What did you do? You know, like it just instantly just changed the entire meaning for me.
There's a huge difference there for me to spot.
Also, Australians tend to have a high-rising terminal. That's a technical term for sentences that go up at the end, like this. Sometimes called the Australian question inflection. Goes up like this. Now, that's very...
Do we really do that? Do we really do that? I think we do.
easy to do, and some people find it annoying, but it is key for that Australian accent. So you've got the...
Up to this point, that didn't sound very Australian to me, however, so I might need to find I might not that I'm an expert, but I'm saying I might need to find an actual Australian.
difference between a Cockney, all right, mate, and an
Right here, my man. I got you covered.
Oh, I see.
Australian, all right, mate, going up at...
Oh, now I see. All right, mate. Rather, all right, mate.
Okay, I'm probably going to jump ahead because this is a long video that he did, and I'm going to see if, like, what else he encounters. It's like, it's all, oh, Jesus Christ! What is that woman? We are watching that.
Okay, I think she does a good job. I don't think she's...
Bro, okay. This is a true blue Sheila looking girl right here. Okay.
Australian, but she does a really good job, I think.
Hey guys, so many of you have been asking.
Oh, this is giving me, like, 1980s, 1970 vibes TV in Australia. If you haven't seen like the TV from when I was growing up, shit was just crazy, man. Like, go onto YouTube and search for Around the Twist. This was a TV show I watched as a kid. I don't know how, as a country, we are not all completely, like, just fucked in the head, okay? But, like, just looking at this, I'm getting vibes from my childhood.
Can you do a video on how to do an Australian accent? Well, okay. But I do think the Australian accent is one of the hardest to imitate. No pressure. So some people think Australians all sound like Steve Irwin. Crikey! Have you seen this croc?
Yeah, no one talks like that.
Mate, it's a beauty. Truth
No one talks like that.
is, not many Australians sound like that. This
I would say zero. I've never heard an Australian, like, talk like that with, like, in all honesty. And then again, I've only ever travelled the entire east coast of Australia. Yes, I have not seen my entire country, because our entire country is, like, bigger than friggin' Europe, okay? Like, the distance between cities here is insane. Like, if I go to my friend, oh yeah, I'll come over and, like, visit you type of thing, normally, like, because maybe he'll be in another town, that's like a 2 to 3 hour drive type of thing. And I'll be like, yeah, I'll see you in a few hours. And when I tell people in Europe that, like, oh, I'm gonna go visit my mate, he's a couple of hours away, they'll be like, what do you mean he's a couple of hours away? And I'm like, yeah, well, he's just in the city next door, you know? Like, if we want to go anywhere serious, we gotta jump on a plane.
video isn't going to teach you how to speak like Steve Irwin. It's going to teach you a more general Australian accent. So the best...
Okay, so general Australian accent is what we generally learn when we actually go onto TV.
rule with talking Australian is that we don't...
Man, she's really close to the camera, isn't she?
Oh, she is. She's like consuming your face close. And that purple like eyeshadow there, I feel like at any moment she's just going to pull out a knife and just knife me.
Pronounce the R's at the end of words. Ever.
Ever.
That was an example. Forever, together, shiver, river, car.
Okay, let me hear that again. Or actually, I'm not even going to hear that again. I'm just going to try read it. Okay, so it's like forever, together, shiver, river, car. Yeah, that sounds exactly like how we would say it.
Shiver, river,
Shiver,
car. Instead of forever, together.
Yeah, so I'd be like forever, together, river, shiver, car. Yeah, like the forever, maybe.
River, shiver, car.
Yeah, that just started sounding very American to me at the end there.
And we don't say G's at the end of words either. Catchin', fishin'.
Catching, fishing, yeah, totally.
Catching, fishing. I like how she does it with nonchalance.
It's a really lazy language. You want us to pronounce...
We definitely are. We just like eat half our words and just don't care about the rest of the words. I'll be like, you know, hey mate, what you up to this weekend? Let's pop on the Barbie and, you know, have a couple of tinnies.
That's the whole word. Nah, mate, I'm teaching here, alright? The Australian accent really uses a lot of slang, so let's learn some.
Okay, let's see.
Aussie slang.
Aussie, meaning Australian. Ambo.
I understand Ambo, but I don't think anyone actually uses it. Maybe in Queensland. I think this is more like a Queensland type of thing. If there's any, like, Queensland viewers, because, like, I feel like when I was younger and I grew up in Queensland, maybe that's where we would have said Ambo, but down here people just say ambulance.
Ambulance.
Really?
Bogan,
Well, I've already used this one. So, yes, bogan.
meaning the lowest class Australian, wears thongs, drinks beer all day, doesn't have a job. Boogie
Sorry, bro, but, like, yeah, that's definitely a good word to describe a lot of people I know.
board. It's like
Yeah, boogie boards. Yeah, they were the bomb when I was growing up.
a mini surfboard. Bricky,
Yeah, brickies. Yeah, they just lay the bricks.
a bricklayer. An esky. It's
Eskies. Definitely, 100%.
It's a ice
I
cool-
didn't even think that was Australian. Isn't that just like a brand name?
cooler that keeps your drinks cold. Usually take them to barbecues and
Man, that's so specific.
stuff.
Wait, really? Don't you guys say esky overseas? Then what do you call it? What do you call that box that you put your cold shit in when you go out for a barbie?
G'day, which you would know.
I don't think anyone actually realistically says g'day anymore. Unless you're kind of putting it on.
Means
G'day.
hello.
G'day.
I find mostly men use g'day and mate. I've never
Yeah, no, like, I've never heard a woman really say g'day. I've heard a little bit g'day from, like, older guys type of thing. Mate is, like, 100%. You're going to get hit with a mate, like, 20 times in a sentence.
heard a lady say g'day unless she's a bogan. So Grog.
Grog, definitely. Yep.
Alcohol.
Grog.
Hobos. We got so many of them in Sydney here.
Homeless guy again. Ice block. Icy pole.
I would actually say popsicle. We do say ice blocks, but I have a tendency to say popsicle.
Popsicle. Kindy.
Yeah, kindergarten.
Kindergarten. Lollies.
Yep, was begging for lollies when I was growing up. Jesus Christ.
Instead of sweets.
Yeah, lollies. I think they say that in England too. So some of these might be more common between England and Australia than they would be between, say, America or... do Kiwis use the same slang? Probably not.
I think Kiwis use a lot of the similar stuff that we do. It's just they pronounce their, vowels differently.
Oh.
Or candy. Macca's, meaning McDonald's. Let's go to Macca's,
Really?
mate. Yeah. Pom.
She's literally talking like a bogan. Hey, let's go to Macca's, mate, eh? You got a durry? I need a couple of durries, eh? Oh, you got 20 cents? You ain't got 20 cents? Well, fuck you, man. I don't like you anyway. Where the fuck? Oh, you got some... Okay, cool. You got durries. You're a good boy. You're a good man.
Or a pommy is an Englishman. Reckon.
Yeah, reckon. Yep, I reckon. I use this word all the time on this channel. Do people not understand this?
Meaning...
Yeah, reckon is used in England too. I reckon.
Okay, good. It's not just me.
Reckon.
Oh, reckon.
Not that I'm English, I'm not, but that's what I used to live in England, that's what I picked up.
Yeah, I reckon they absolutely do use it over there.
My English, which is why it's kind of a mix between someone who's approximating and a muppet.
Okay, let's see what else we got here. Okay, I'm going to jump ahead again. Oh, okay, well, we're straight into the next one. Let's have a look.
Sounds adorable.
Or if I were to do a really bad rendition of an Italian accent,
Okay.
Careful what
This
you
is going to be
say.
interesting.
I would go, Italian.
That's so true. Hey, Italia, Metatron, how you going? You got some pizza with some pineapple, eh? I know I shouldn't have said that.
Da, 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 da. So
It's a bit exaggerated.
it has its own rhythm and it has its own melody. Very sorry to anyone who is Italian or Irish.
Thank you.
I'm not sorry at all. I did that on purpose.
Try to mimic the sound without using their words. YouTube's great for this. You can look up anyone on YouTube. You can look up any kind of accent and find someone speaking in that accent. I would suggest in your practice that you don't practice
You don't?
with people who teach, with actors, or
Right.
with
Okay.
news presenters.
Yeah, well, this is actually interesting because when I went through theatre training and then later on I also did a random short course for films and stuff, they actually brought in an actor's coach and we practiced with the other actors in the room trying to put on the American accent. I can't do the American accent. In fact, I figured out. In fact, I noticed when I was there that everyone else was really good at accents and I was just shite. Complete shite. I could not put on accents for the life of me. And maybe I could do it for about 10 seconds and then I'd just always, for some reason, go full-blown Scottish. I don't know why. And now that I've said that, I probably can't even do Scottish.
Makes sense.
And the reason for that is because you might notice my melody changes when I'm teaching rather than when I'm just chatting.
That's probably why I was like, it sounds a little light, but then occasionally it doesn't, because she was probably moving between the teacher's talk, and which you can still tell she's from Australia, but it's not as thick. And then when she's actually, using the word, whatever, you know what I'm saying.
So the best way to practice an accent is really to look up people who are speaking naturally and are
Here's the interesting thing. I'm listening to her and she sounds almost like she's putting on the accent a little bit. And maybe this is just because I'm analyzing it right now. But it could also just be that she's speaking with a specific Australian accent. I don't know. There's something going on here.
Conversation.
A way to do that is to search for somebody being interviewed.
Right.
So I jumped out of bed and all I had was...
Okay, this is a bogan. You guys see this guy on the right? He's a bogan. He's a true blue Aussie bogan.
was my undies on and I've walked out the front and I've seen the car smashed and I've seen the bloke walking back to the car.
Let's look at the first
My God.
important
Well, that was completely understandable. What's wrong?
part of the
Are you sure that's a good one?
Australian
That was completely normal Australian street variety English. Like, it was completely understandable to me.
Accent melody. And that is, everything's a question until it's not. A lot of people know the first...
Maybe what she's referencing is back to what the other guy earlier on was referencing regarding how we lift the end of our sentences, apparently, which I was totally not aware of.
Part of this.
First part.
The fact that
This is just so bad listening to Metatron try this.
everything's a question, right? You'll hear people say, oh, Australians are so weird or they're so funny because everything sounds like a question, and I never know when they're asking a question because it goes up at the end all the time.
Is that true? Are you guys... Do you all think I'm weird? I know some of you think I'm funny. Well, fucking hell, I'm sitting here in this, whatever the fuck this is. But I guess I am a little bit weird, but like... Do I do this? Do I really do this? Do I raise the end of every sentence? Like, I don't know.
That's true, but
That's very nice, actually.
actually a little bit more detailed than that.
Detailed. It's also the way she says detailed. Detailed. It's detailed.
I nearly just...
I actually didn't even hear that. Now I need to rehear it.
Actually a little bit more detailed than that.
Detailed? Detailed? That seemed fun.
Detailed. It's also the way she says detailed. Detailed.
Detailed.
It's detailed.
I nearly
Isn't that what she said? Whatever.
just went, it's actually a bit more detailed than that.
Yeah,
She
detailed.
She's great. She's my favourite so far.
It's actually a little bit more detailed than that. And what I mean when I say that is that this up inflection implies a continuation. So it's often used in storytelling. If you've got someone that's trying to tell a story of what happened to them at the shops today, every sentence will go up at the end because I went to the shops, and when I got to the shops it was really busy, and
That sounds legit. That's like probably how we would actually tell a story. I'd be like, I was on the way to the shops, and then you wouldn't believe it, but while I was on the way there, some random like hobo on the side of the street who was yelling at me, "Hey mate, you got $1?" And I was like, "Yeah, I ain't got no money for you, you fucking shitless cunt. Go get a job, you lazy bludger. Get the hell off the dole and make some money." Like that's, I guess mine became a bit more aggressive then, but you get the idea.
I went into the shops and I found the shop that I was looking for. So the story's not finished yet. Do you hear that?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
when the story's finished...
Clearly she's like obviously putting it on, like making it more extended, because if someone talked to me like this, I would feel like they're treating me like I'm in preschool, and they're like, "You did well today, didn't you?" But obviously it's for the teaching. Okay, I'm gonna jump ahead because I just want to hear Metatron try this, man. You gotta try. I hope he tries the Australian accent.
Subscribe. Does she still post? Something I like checking just for you. 3 years ago. Oh no. She stopped posting. That's a shame. I hope she
Nice
comes
try.
back. But anyways, then there isn't really much point in subscribing, really. Then we will see. I'll keep the subscription for a little bit, see if she comes back. If she doesn't, I'll just, then there is no point. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. But this is just chapter 1. I'm going to have to find some Australians. Oh, I have one in mind. Should I invite him over once?
Who is this Australian? Do I know him? Anyway, I am actually quite depressed at this point that I have not yet heard an Australian accent from Metatron. I got all dressed up and everything for this, man. This shit's depressing. Okay, I'm going to check out to see if he's got any other videos on his channel of him attempting the Australian accent. Ah, damn it, he doesn't actually try the accent. Look, there's no other videos. That's the only one. I am highly depressed because, I got all dressed up for this. My Discord got me excited by dropping this video in here, and then I got nothing at the end. This is like, you've left me on a cliffhanger, and you haven't given me season 2. So Metatron, I don't care who you got to speak to, you got to do the Australian accent, okay? It's just not acceptable to just leave us hanging like this. You have insulted the entire population, the entire 4 people of Australia, by not trying our Australian accent. I tried your accent. I think I did quite well. I think my Italian accent was it was pretty spot on. If anyone wants to critique it, please let me know in the comments how well I did. And I'll see you all in the next video. And if you're not there, well then, I shall find you, you dirty ass bogan, and I will beat the shit out of you with a couple of tinnies.